The envelope system is a powerful, old-school cash management tool that's making a big comeback, especially among savvy young adults and entrepreneurs looking to master their finances. So how does it work? The idea is simple. You use actual envelopes or digital equivalents to divide your cash into categories like groceries, entertainment, rent, and savings. Once the money in each envelope runs out, that's it. You don't spend more in that category for the month. Here's a fun fact. This method actually dates back to the early 1900s, used by households before the rise of credit cards. In a way, it's like turning budgeting into a game, spending within the limits of your cash envelopes. Why is this relevant for entrepreneurs? It teaches financial discipline, something every successful business owner needs. By practicing with your personal budget, you're training yourself to manage cash flow in your business too. Another fun tidbit. Research shows that physically handling cash makes people less likely to overspend compared to swiping a card. Think of it as a psychological hack that puts you in control. And for beginners, this system is perfect because it's simple, visual, and tangible. No complex spreadsheets or fancy apps required. Plus, it helps you track exactly where your money is going, allowing you to make smarter financial decisions. We'll dive into the benefits and practical steps to start using this system in the next part. But here's the key takeaway. The envelope system is about intentional spending, which is a critical skill whether you're budgeting for groceries or managing a business. Now that you know the basics, let's walk through how to set up your own envelope system. First, list out your regular spending categories. These might include essentials like rent, groceries, and utilities. You can also add a few fun categories: entertainment, dining out, or travel. The key is to cover all areas where you regularly spend. Next, decide how much cash to allocate to each envelope. This is where budgeting comes into play. Look at your income and set realistic amounts for each category. For example, if you're spending $500 a month on groceries, place $500 in your groceries envelope. Here's a fun fact. According to a study, people who use cash envelopes are more likely to stick to their budgets because it creates a psychological barrier to overspending. Once the cash is gone, it's gone. What's really cool for entrepreneurs is that you can apply this method to your business expenses too. Set up envelopes for categories like marketing, supplies, and employee costs. By doing so, you can keep a tight rein on cash flow, which is crucial for any growing business. And don't worry if you overspend in one category. It happens. The trick is to adjust. If you have extra cash in your entertainment envelope, but overspent on groceries, you can shift funds to cover it. Flexibility is key. In the next part, we'll talk about some pro tips on making the envelope system even more effective. Stay tuned. Now that you've got your envelope system set up, let's talk about some pro tips to really maximize its effectiveness. Tip number 1, use both physical and digital envelopes. While using cash is powerful for controlling your spending, we live in a digital world. You can create virtual envelopes using budgeting apps or even multiple bank accounts to handle categories like savings or business expenses. Here's an interesting fact. Studies show that combining cash and digital envelopes can actually increase accountability. When you track spending both ways, it reinforces discipline and makes sure nothing slips through the cracks. Tip number 2, periodically review and adjust your envelopes. Your income and spending habits might change, so your budget should too. Make it a habit to check your envelopes at least once a month. If you notice you're consistently under or over in a category, tweak the amounts. And for entrepreneurs, here's a big one. Set up a profit envelope. It's easy to focus on business expenses, but setting aside cash to pay yourself is crucial. Whether it's reinvesting in your company or taking home a salary, having a dedicated envelope for profit keeps your business healthy. Tip number 3, automate your savings. If saving money feels like a challenge, create an envelope that automatically receives a portion of your income each month. This way, you're building a safety net without even thinking about it. In the final segment, we'll cover how to stick with the envelope system long-term and some real-world success stories. Now that you're familiar with the basics of the envelope system, let's talk about some common mistakes to avoid so you can stay on track. Mistake number 1, not being realistic about your budget. A common issue people face when starting out is underestimating how much they'll need in certain categories. For example, You might think you can get by with only $200 a month for groceries. But if you're regularly overspending, it means your initial budget wasn't realistic. The key here is to adjust your envelopes as you go, so they reflect your actual spending habits. Mistake number two, borrowing from other envelopes too often. While it's okay to occasionally move money between envelopes, doing it all the time defeats the purpose. If you're constantly taking money from your entertainment envelope to cover groceries, it's a sign that your budget needs to be adjusted. Here's a fun fact. Research shows that tracking your spending regularly helps avoid these common budgeting pitfalls. By checking in weekly, you can make sure your budget stays realistic and prevent overspending. Mistake number three, ignoring unexpected expenses. Life happens, and sometimes unexpected costs pop up, like a car repair or medical bill. To avoid blowing your budget, it's smart to have an envelope for emergencies or unexpected costs. This gives you a cushion when something unplanned comes up without derailing your whole system. And finally, mistake number four, giving up too soon. The envelope system is simple, but it requires consistency. Don't be discouraged if you mess up once or twice. Just learn from it and adjust your budget moving forward. Remember, the key is building financial discipline over time. In the next part, we'll explore how to adapt this system to business finances. Stay tuned. For entrepreneurs, managing business finances can often feel like juggling a dozen things at once. That's where the envelope system comes in. It's not just for personal budgets. You can use it to bring more order and discipline to your business finances. First, start by creating separate envelopes for different business expenses. You'll need envelopes for essentials like rent, utilities, and supplies. But don't stop there. Create envelopes for marketing, employee costs, taxes, and importantly, profit. Here's a fun fact. Successful businesses set aside a portion of their revenue specifically for profit before paying other expenses. This practice, known as profit first, ensures your business remains profitable even during lean months. Next, plan for variable business costs. As entrepreneurs know, business expenses can fluctuate. For example, you might spend more on marketing during a launch month. Having an envelope for such occasions can help you stay prepared for those high-spend periods. Another tip? Automate savings for taxes. Too many business owners get caught off guard by tax season. By creating an envelope that automatically receives a percentage of your income, you'll never be short when it's time to pay taxes. Finally, track and adjust. Just like with personal finances, review your business envelopes regularly. If you're underspending or overspending in any category, adjust the amounts. The goal is to maintain financial control while growing your business. In the next part, we'll explore how to use the envelope system with a partner or family for joint financial management. Stay tuned. Managing money with a partner or family can be tricky, but the envelope system can make it easier by creating transparency and clear financial boundaries. Step 1. Start with a joint discussion. Sit down with your partner or family members and agree on the spending categories. Communication is key here. Everyone needs to understand and agree on where the money should go. Once you've decided on the categories, label your envelopes together. You can have envelopes for shared expenses like rent, groceries, utilities, and savings. But don't forget to create personal envelopes too. For example, you and your partner can have individual envelopes for personal spending. This way, each person gets their own money for hobbies or personal items without judgment. Here's a fun fact. According to financial experts, couples who use the envelope system together often report fewer money-related arguments. That's because this method forces clear communication about spending and keeps everyone accountable. For families, you can also get the kids involved. Set up envelopes for family activities or even give them small amounts of money for their own envelopes, teaching them valuable budgeting skills from a young age. Tip: make it a habit to check in on the envelopes regularly, maybe once a week or at the end of the month. It's a great way to ensure everyone is staying on track and adjusting the budget if needed. In the next part, we'll talk about how to use digital envelopes and budgeting apps to modernize the system. Stay tuned. Now that you've learned how to master your money using the envelope system, it's time to take action. Whether you're managing personal finances, working with a partner, or running a business, this system gives you the tools to stay in control. Start small. Create your first set of envelopes today. and watch how quickly your spending habits change. Remember, the goal is financial freedom through intentional spending. And if you're ready to take your budgeting game to the next level, why not explore digital envelopes through apps or other advanced methods? It's easier than ever to stay on top of your finances. So, what are you waiting for? Start your envelope system journey now and experience the power of smart money management. Your financial future is in your hands.